As I said yesterday, Totaburi is asking Ramakrishna to perform the most sacrilegious thing. But suddenly, Ramakrishna is in a higher space. And one important thing you should know, after everything was over, when Ramakrishna was established in that Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, it is not that he stopped going to the Kali temple. You will feel funny. He cut Kali and became enlightened. But after that, when he settled into the body, first thing he will do every day morning is, he will go around the temple, roll on the ground, and all kinds of that expression of devotion. It's not that he became dry. It's not that he became, oh, I cut the Kali, no more Kali. Kali doesn't exist. No. That's a funny part. That is why I say, Hinduism is not built on God. Even God is a stepping stone for us to achieve godliness. If suddenly somebody proves God doesn't exist, even if somebody proves God doesn't exist, we don't have a problem at all. We will not lose single thing. Everything will go on. Even if God does not exist, tomorrow somebody solidly proves to me, I will not shut down single temple. I will continue to go on adding more and more temple. I will have one more shrine for the fellow who proved God doesn't exist. That's all. I will have his deity also. That's it. We don't have a problem. As we make 100, I will say make his deity also and install it. In Vedic tradition, we don't bother whether God exists or not. If you can achieve godliness by believing God exists, please go ahead. If you can achieve the same godliness without believing God exists, please go ahead. We don't have a problem. The basic understanding which we want to bring in is source is existence, individual soul which you experience is not existence. Even by mistake, you cannot assume individual soul as the source of existence or as the source of any bliss or any eternal, auspicious expression. I can say there are so many eternal, auspicious expressions. Guna is not right word, so that's why I am using the word expression. Nirantaratva, Nityatva, Anandatva, Sattva, Chitva, Swayam Prakasatva, Tejomayanandatva, Swatmanandatva. These are all the eternal expressions, eternal auspicious expressions of the source. These expressions cannot be part of the individual soul. Only when the individual soul turns back and merges into the source, this can be the experience, not otherwise. I can say, Vyasa is hitting us again and again and again in so many different angles. He is preparing us. He is making a strong, solid foundation. He is not making foundation exactly on the spot where he is going to build the wall. He is making a huge concrete pad. Because how the building is going to come up, even he doesn't know. That is why, see, for example, if he is going to make you only blissful, then if he makes you understand source is bliss, individual soul is not the source of bliss. If he makes only that one line foundation and builds the whole sutra, that's enough. If he is going to make you only intelligent, if he says source is intelligence, your individual soul is not intelligence, so merge the individual soul into the source, which is intelligence. If he puts only that foundation and builds the building, that's enough. Understand? He is not making foundation only where he is going to build the wall, where the main weight is going to sit. He is just making a huge concrete pad because he doesn't know where the wall is going to sit. He doesn't know where the weight is going to sit. So he is making the whole thing out of stone. He is going to hit us in so many hundreds of expressions. Just today, I was doing a scientific study. When you put weight on certain muscles, how the prana moves and kundalini awakens. Today 2 hours research I was doing. We had one doctor and another one sports medicine doctor and with a whole video crew, and I started lifting each and every weight, started doing different movements as per the Western methods and Indian yoga methods, and scientifically, spiritually scanned each exercises ability to awaken kundalini, or what happens during those exercises as far as the kundalini energy concerned. I saw very clearly, when you work on the shoulder muscle and hand muscle, both together kundalini awakens. If it is only one part, nothing happens. When you are lifting weight with both hands, working on the shoulder, any word you hear becomes your biomemory. When you are working out, any scene you see never gets into your system. When you work out, you can see anything, but don't hear anything. If you are working out on your thigh muscles, kundalini doesn't awaken. It's useless. If you are working out on your ab muscles, straight away kundalini gets awakened. Immediately the kundalini is awakening. If you are doing some weightlifting by standing, kundalini not only goes to the higher chakras, it hits the lower chakras also. Means even the lower chakras get cleansed. Lower chakra means below Muladhara there is 7 chakras. Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Badala, Talatala. The below Muladhara, 7 chakras. The above Muladhara, 7 chakras, all of you know. Below Muladhara there are 7 chakras. 7 lokas. Energy flows even into that lower areas. When I was doing all these researches on Kundalini, I was able to scan different things. How the Kundalini awakens and the non-mechanical parts of the brain gets hit and intelligence opens up. I promise, I wanted all of you to know what happens by the intense weightlifting and yoga in your brain. Exactly same thing happens just if you contemplate on one Brahma Sutra. Just contemplating on one Brahma Sutra. I can say, lazy man's guide to become enlightened is Brahma Sutra. You don't need to move your belly at all. I use the decent word. You just don't need to move your belly and all parts attached to belly. Nothing needs to be moved. The non-mechanical parts of the brain can be awakened. You can become enlightened just by contemplating on Brahma Sutras. That is why all these Vedantis carry such a big pot belly, because nothing need to be done. But actually, in Vedantis also, Akada people, the orthodox Vedantis are very well built and they retain yoga. I can tell you very clearly, before Ramakrishna's adventure, before the Ramakrishna mission, even till Vivekananda, sannyasis were always supposed to be well built, healthy. It is after that the Hindu missionary organizations who have become corporate swamis, they stopped moving the body, stopped doing everything, and naturally grown big belly, wearing the Kavi jibba, started by these Hindu missionaries just to hide their bellies. No, it was not a Hindu dress. The jibba is not a Hindu sannyas dress. Alright, today I wanted to declare, in Nityananda Sampradaya we will remove the jibba. We will not have this Kavi jibba. Let us have the Yoga Vastram and Devagacham. Because you can't hide your belly in Devagacham, in Yoga Vastram. It will be seen. But in jibba, you can hide it nicely. You can nicely hide it. See, if you are really contemplating on Brahma Sutra and not working out, becoming enlightened, I don't have a problem. Great, no problem. But these guys neither do that, nor do any yoga or physical methods of awakening the Kundalini.